indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, two exits behind you, one behind us to our left, to your right. And if I could please have everyone silence their phones. And I would like a motion to open up the town board meeting for this evening.
I'll make that motion.
I'd like to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Councilman McGinn had a family event this evening, so he will not be present. Okay, we need a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed amendment to Chapter 57 of the Town Code.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Anybody sign up to speak?
John Jester.
John Deschner, Monroe, New York. Also Johnny Debris. And one thing I'd like to say is keep up the good work. You're doing a good work here. There's a whole bunch of you. And on the cluster housing, last time I said go up and see Millard Circle. The one thing I found out that, that we pay taxes on the green area, and we pay to have it cut, and if anything was going to happen to overlook estates, we would vote on it too. But if you set it up, I don't know. I think somebody said in trust. But the one thing I'd like for you to look into is the deed restrictions, because that's how I feel. The deed restriction, I don't know how a deed restriction would be removed, or if it could be removed. And I was wondering if you could find that out for me. That's about it. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Counsel, did you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I would suggest is there anybody else? Or
What's that?
Yes, there is.
I would just suggest we go
Go
through.
through everyone?
Oh, okay, all right.
That's fine. We'll answer it before we either continue or close the hearing tonight.
Ward Brower.
Grand opening here. Ward Brower, private citizen. Cluster housing. I do like cluster housing. Like it saves open space. I'm always concerned how we're going to perpetuate that open space. As commented in the past, with Councilman McGinn, that going the state route has its limitations and its liabilities, because then you open it to everybody in the whole state can come in and visit your open space. So looking at that, he's probably that's a valid point. So keeping it at the local level, keeping the cluster under the local control, is probably the best way to go for most of these things. And I still would like the option of, not the option, but the mechanism where the cluster open space is put before the voters and not a town board, because this board may not be here, may have a totally different mindset. They don't like open space. So let it go before the voters, pass, as long as they can pass 2/3 of the total number of registered voters at the next regular scheduled meeting, or election, I should say. I think that's about the safest we can do. If 2/3 of the community are in favor of it, I have no problems with it. The other thing I've still got is on that bedroom count. Bedroom count, I was at a Moodner Creek Watershed Intermunicipal Council meeting last week. That topic came up and I didn't bring it up. And one of the people there, the head of one of the organizations, said, I contacted the DEC and I want to know what a bedroom count means. The DEC got back to me and said it means 2 people per bedroom. That varies because some families it may be true and other families it may not be. It's still a variable. That's what this is about. This is a stick, nothing on it. This is a ruler. Has numerals which have to be translated into numbers. Once you translate it into numbers, it has a value. You can take 10 people with this ruler and give them something to measure, and you'll be able to get 10 of the same answers, unless one's drunk. You can get 10 people with this, and you'll get 10 different answers. Well, that's what a bedroom count does. Gives you 10 different answers, which means the lead agency has to find out, under the circumstances, what does that mean? They spend a lot of time, a lot of valuable money, trying to ascertain that. And the problem is, when you get all done with that, because you need that for seeker. If you don't have that numbers, you can't do seeker. Can't tabulate water, sewer, anything. So we need that number. So let's get a number up front. And it's, let the developer, whoever is filing for these permits, tell you how many they want to put in a house. That's a head count. That's an accurate count. Then you don't have to spend all this time looking for this number with this device here. And you'll never find it. We need that. If you do that, you have the chance of being on the forefront because no other community has done that. Ever since seeker's been out, still a bedroom count. So you have a chance to make history and make sense and save people money. Thank you.
Thank you, Ward.
Thank you.
That's all who signed up.
That's it. Counsel, could you please explain to Mr. DeVries the question he asked regarding removing something from a deed? I know there's various answers.
I'll give you a simple answer. There's no guarantees in life. I'd like to say that, there's never a chance under any circumstances that something could be removed, but deed restrictions typically give somebody a right of enforcement. For example, if it's the town that has a right of enforcement, the town would have to consent at some point to removal of a deed restriction. That doesn't mean that 20, 30, 50 years from now, there's not some circumstance under which the deed restriction should be removed at that time. But other than that, so long as the town wants it in place and it's been filed at the county and the legal requirements have been met, it's enforceable. So if there's an HOA or plan development and they're giving deed restrictions for the benefit of the town, then they're going to stay there unless the town decides for some reason in the future to waive that or to consent to removing the deed restriction. Yeah, typically, the reality is that New York law, like many states, they don't want to forever put anything in, solid stone because times change, situations change, and there may come a point where a deed restriction for some reason would be removed, but other than going to court, usually the person who is benefiting from that deed restriction is going to have to consent to its removal. But like we did talk about this, and it's come up before, with parkland and other things. People say, well, the only way to protect land is to make it state parkland. Well, that's not true either, because the state legislature can pass a resolution and a bill, and it gets signed by the governor, and it's no longer parkland. So that's why I say, nothing is really guaranteed, but it is secure so long as the town wants it to be.
Okay. Anyone else here have to comment? Then we can either make a motion to keep the public hearing open.
We just stated date, time.
Yeah, for the proposed amendment, Chapter 57, or we can close it. It's up to the board's flavor.
We have to, I think, keep it open. We're waiting on environmental
Okay.
work and other responses, so I would
Okay,
continue
so
it.
I'll make a motion to keep the public hearing for the proposed amendment of Chapter 57 of the Town Code open. We'll continue it on September 4th at 7 p.m.
I'd like to second that.
That's a Wednesday,
You said
right?
it?
It's a Wednesday,
No.
7 p.m.
Second by Sancarello.
Okay? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. We need a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed changes of Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local code.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. So moved. Madam Clerk?
Jim Gulick.
Hello, all. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good, how are you?
Curious. I've been up here and owning my house since '78. Paid all my taxes. I recently heard that my house and my property may not be in compliance. If you pass this law, will my house be in compliance?
I don't know what your exact measurements are,
.38 acres,
but I will say that you would be in compliance.
if you pass this law.
Yes.
Terrific, thank
That
you
was,
very
that was the
much.
that was the purpose of the law.
Okay, well, I heard it, I didn't understand it really myself, but I wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ward Brower.
Ward Brower, private citizen. Again, we waited a long time for this. Glad you did it. This 57-57. I did some research, looked at some old codes going back to 54, 72, 83, 90, and so on. And basically, the one that was in the 2017 version was basically the same law that's been in existence for 60 years. And the main problem with that is when we did the major zoning revision in the 1950s. Up to that point, I was very young, and I remember my father and grandfather talking about this. It was a hodgepodge of local laws and regulations. And finally did this major master plan. And then this came about. The problem was, you had a lot of homes that were established back prior to this code, which would never be in compliance. They were on eighth of an acre, stuff like that. And so they were all non-compliance. So this so-called grandfather clause came in to cover those, because it's no fault of their own. People bought those homes in good faith, paid their taxes, got building permits if they needed it, no problem. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're illegal. So we had this little 57, actually it's 57-61 initially. The main Achilles heel in that was that you had, in order to maintain that grandfather status, you had to file a report with the building inspector within 6 months. Well, 90% of people didn't even know about it. Like today, 99% of people don't even know you passed the code. So virtually most people were not in compliance. The only saving grace was the building inspectors we had, all the way up to that point, understood the letter of the law, they understood the spirit of the law. They knew you were grandfather then, they never made a big deal about it. So, but when this other one was passed, some of the building inspectors, he goes by the letter of the law, which he's entitled to do that. But when he did that, made a lot of people out non-conforming illegal. So, and they passed a 6 months time frame. So they were really messed up. So when you took that out of this code, that's the only revision you took out of it. You got rid of that little quirk. You made this what it should have been in the first place. So you did a positive. You corrected a mistake that's been on the books for like 60 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ward.
That's all?
No one else?
No.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to keep the public hearing for the proposed changes to Article 14 of the Town of Monroe zoning local law open
I'll make, you making the motion?
for September 4th at 7:15.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. I'd like to make a motion to open up a public hearing for the matter of the formation of a town water district to be known as Smith Farm Water District. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Ward Brower.
You want to, I'm just sorry, are you with the applicant or with Smith Farm?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have, if you don't mind, Ward,
Yeah.
we'll have
My
him
pleasure.
open it up first, and you can step up and state your name. And
I apologize, the attorney for the project was supposed to be here and give a presentation, but I'll do my best filling in.
Okay.
My name is Mark Seamers. I'm with Peter, Zack & Fow, the engineering firm representing Smith Farm Development. We're here tonight. We submitted a map plan and report to the town, which was reviewed by McGoey, Hauser, and Etzel, and I believe by the town board. We're here tonight to form the water district over the town portion of the Smith Farm development, which was approved by the planning board in 2015 and began construction in 2016. The infrastructure in phase 1 has been constructed, and they're currently working on phase 2. The formation of the water district will allow the village and the town to come to an agreement on billing, which is the main purpose of this district formation. The entire project parcel is about 79 acres, and the town portion is 59 acres, which will encompass 131 dwellings in the project. The cost of the district, there will be no cost bared by the town, the village, or the water district. All of the costs will be passed on to the users. So the district will really only affect the residents, or the future residents, there's no residents there now, future residents of this project. So that's the water district in a nutshell. I'll turn it back over to you for any questions.
does anybody have questions of Mr. Seamers with respect to the water district?
I have one. Did you come before the town board many years ago to get the formation of the water district?
No, we didn't. During the review of the project on our end, we were under the impression that the homeowners association would be billed directly by the village. As the project continued and construction began, water meters started being ordered, and it came up that there would then be an issue with the billing between the village and the homeowner association, so the town was then brought in to form the water district.
Do you know, I know there's, and I don't know if the work has begun there, but there's an easement that is going between two homes off of, directly opposite Cooper Drive.
Correct.
Do you know if those homeowners have been notified?
I don't know if they've been notified yet. The construction has not begun on that. That is, I believe that's to be built in phase 2. I don't believe that water main has begun.
No, I know it hasn't. I walk past there every day.
Right.
And I want to make sure that they're notified.
Okay,
Given ample time, not like a week before construction starts.
I'll
Mark.
pass that note on to the
Yeah.
contractor to make sure that they are aware.
Mark, you'll be here a few minutes in case anyone else has questions, like Mr. Brower or whoever's coming up.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ward?
Again, Ward Brower, private citizen. I do have a question on this, since this is a water district. I'd like to know, Mark can probably answer this off the top of his head. What's the maximum number of potential users of this? Because how in the world can you form a water district if you don't know the maximum amount of water demand? That's what I'd like to know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
That is all who has signed up.
Would the engineer want to come back and comment about that?
Yeah.
Well, as was just discussed, the water numbers or the water usage is an estimate based on state regulations, and each and every dwelling will have their own water meter, and the water usage will actually be measured and then billed accordingly.
I don't.
Wasn't there a cap in the secret regarding the amount of gallons used per day?
I believe there was. I don't know that number off the top of my head, but I think it's in the finding statement of the approval.
Okay, because I think one question this board has is, what happens if that number is breached? And the residents go over it.
You got backup, Mark, behind you.
Maybe council could ask, you just walked in.
Doubt it.
I just got a ticket.
Uh-oh.
I have a
Turning
question.
around?
I have a question for
I'll have to hire one.
Yes, I really don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, we began.
The question was, Mr. Costa, is what happens, there's a number in secra that allows for X amount of gallons per day for the development. What happens if that number is breached and the development goes over that number?
Well, first of all, we have a water agreement, a supply agreement with the village. And I don't think we're going to go over our limit. But if we do go over our limit, I would think it would be an issue between the village and Smith Farm, the developer. I don't think it really would be a secret issue per se, because that's already been completed in the planning board process. So I really don't think SECRA itself, the SECRA review applies. And it would, I mean, the town is obligated, not the town, the village is obligated to supply whatever water needs the residents have in this district, even before the formation of the district.
So just, why wouldn't secra guidelines apply if that was what was in the application?
If we went above SECRA, we probably, well, then we may have to come back for further review. It's a joint project with the two different boards. I mean, it's theoretically, all I can say, it's theoretically possible, but I don't think it's going to be a practical problem.
Yeah, but I just would personally like to cut off any problems and have them ironed out before the district is formed. And I personally will not vote for a district if we don't have answers to all the questions, regardless of whether it's the village or us. Because if the village is going to be billing individuals and then we have to then send the bills out to the town residents, I mean, if they're over the threshold, I mean, is there an additional fee that we might charge? I don't know the answer to that, and I would like an
May I
answer.
ask a question? Do you have a cap like that existing in any other districts that you work with the village right now?
Yes.
And what happens when they go over? Have they ever gone over?
There's an additional fee, and there's a possibility that they would lose, Mary, what was?
Service.
Yeah,
Lose
lose service.
Lose
Well, I think that's your answer then.
Well, one second. I think we're losing focus on, if there's a little bit of an overage, we'll charge them more. No. Water is going to become a very valuable commodity, which it is. I mean, because you can't build a house without water. Simple. So if the guideline you're using, you said was set by the state, correct? So you're assuming that it would be 4 people per household. That's an assumption.
Well, it's bedroom, not people.
Okay, so how many bedrooms are you building per household? Approximate.
Well, there's 22 age-restricted duplexes, which are 3 bedrooms each, and there's 115 single-family in the town that are 4-bedroom each.
All right, so if it's 4-bedroom apiece, and there's 2 per person, that means that each dwelling will have 8 people,
Could have 8 people.
most likely. Because he said he went established by the state, and the state says 2. So if the state is allowing for 2 persons per bedroom, that's up to 8, correct?
Yes, but that's not how the state looks at it. The state sets water usage based on the number of bedrooms in the house.
Well, that's what I'm basing it on. You just said that there's 4 bedrooms, and if there's 4 bedrooms and they allow 2 persons per bedroom, that's 8 people. If it's 8 people, and the average is approximately, well, I mean, nowadays, the national average family is like 1.8, 1.9, but even if you said it's 4 people per household, and the average household usage is guesstimated around 350 gallons a day, you're doubling that. I'm just going by your numbers, not mine.
Well, that math doesn't work. You're
Exactly my point.
going around it.
No, I'm not going around, I'm addressing it directly.
You're converting bedrooms to people and then people to water.
Well, that's what you just
It's
said. You-
Bedrooms to water.
But you said that we went by the state standard, which is 2 people per bedroom. That's what you said before.
No, I didn't.
What did you say?
I said it's the water usage is set based on the number of bedrooms per unit.
I think Warren said that before.
Okay.
Yes, bedrooms, not people.
So if you have 4 bedrooms, you're saying you have 4 bedrooms per?
3 to 4.
No, 3 is in the cluster and 4 is in the dwelling.
That's correct.
So you're saying that you're going to only be putting maybe 1 person per bedroom then?
We don't know how many people are going to be in a bedroom. We just know that there are 3 or 4 bedroom per unit, depending
Okay.
on the unit.
All right, so if we don't know how many people are going to be living, we don't even give a ballpark figure, then how can we guesstimate on how much water is going to be
You
used?
never
That's how
know.
That's how the state does it. The state calculates the gallons per day in a dwelling per bedroom. So for a 3-bedroom house, it's 400 gallons per day. For a 4-bedroom house, it's 475 gallons per day. And then there's a 20% reduction for water saving fixtures. That's how the health department calculates water usage.
And they when they use that guesstimate per bedroom, do they give an average of how many people will be in that bedroom?
People is not brought into that calculation. It's based on bedroom. Well, they have an average for the dwelling. They figured out how much water is used by the dwelling. They figured out
Because of the amount of
because
people.
of the number of bedrooms.
Because of the amount of people it'll be occupying
Right, so they
now.
have an average. They figure out the bed. You can't guess how many people are going to be in a house.
Oh, I understand.
You can define how many bedrooms are going to be in a house. So they have the average water usage based on bedrooms, because that's a solid figure.
So is square footage. But the thing is that depending on the amount of people, if I have a 3-bedroom house, I'm going to have less people than the 4-bedroom house.
Okay, well,
Not necessarily.
all I can do is
Most likely.
All we can do is follow the state regulations when we
Okay.
design and calculate water usage.
All right, so going back to the original discussion was, are we going to have a backup plan should those numbers fall short? Because water is going to be a very valuable commodity in the future as this town continues to grow, and we want it to. I mean, people want to live here, that's a good thing, right? And you want to build, that's a better thing, right?
We would
So-
we would agree to any backup plan that is required in any of your other districts. I mean, period. I think that's fair. And I don't know what that backup plan is, if any, but I don't see why this district, should it be formed, should be treated any different than the rules that you have for your other districts.
Because this is a newer development, it's not an older development when we didn't have as many people. So as we grow into the future, we have to protect the resources that we have, right?
But haven't you established a couple of water districts recently?
Well,
Not really.
we've
We're having trouble
we've
with that.
established the formation of a water district that has been in place for a number of years. Okay, because we basically took over a defunct company's water district.
That had a lot of other issues. So we're trying to avoid future issues, and we're not doing that
And those-
to put onus on the
And those-
builder.
I don't believe those districts had a limitation that was in a secret process that was approved or was subject to the approval of the development. And we're not trying to hold things up. If there was a limitation put in place, it was obviously put in place for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I wasn't on the planning board, I wasn't on the village planning board. I just want to make sure that we have a plan going forward if that limitation is breached. I just don't want to hear, oh, I'm sorry, we went over the limit, and it is what it is.
Well, first of all, legally, when you establish an outer village, in this case, water district, the village has first priority of the water. The
Correct.
village residents, and then the town if there were a shortage. So it really would be something that the village would address if it was applicable. But I don't know of any, I don't think you can, if we comply with the state regulations and the Board of Health regulations, I don't think you could legally require us to do anything more than what we have done. And I would like to stress to this board, I don't know if you know the history of this, the Smith Farm approvals, both village and town, were not conditioned in any way, shape, or form on the formation of a water district. We filed this petition to accommodate, at the request of and as an accommodation to both the village and the town, because they asked for it strictly for purposes of collection,
We understand
to
that.
accommodate the village, as well as your own
Yeah,
administrative.
we totally understand that.
And we could have legally just gone ahead with we have a water, and have always had a water supply agreement with the village. And we've paid a lot of money for that in establishing some of their pump stations and whatever. We've paid a lot of money, essentially subsidized their expansion. So I don't think you really can limit the amount of water that we use, provided we're within the state regulations of the Board of Health.
Maybe we can't, but maybe the village can.
And that's your assumption.
Well, you know,
We're not trying to fight with you, we're just trying to make sure that, these houses are built and they have adequate water supply, that's all. I mean, nobody is going back
the
and forth.
village is required, under the water supply agreements, to supply us with whatever water we need to service the residents. That was an agreement between the village and the Smith Farm development, going back several years, and there was a couple of amendments which were irrelevant to supply.
So what you're saying is that the village is obligated to supply 5 million gallons per day if need be.
Theoretically, yes. In reality, no. I mean, there are a certain amount of, if that were the case, then there would be a water shortage. And the village would have the legal power to essentially ration that water supply to ensure that their own village.
So if they have the legal power to limit the water in that case, why wouldn't they have the legal power to limit it if you go over the threshold that's in the secret?
Because it only applies if there is a shortage, period.
Is that in
In other words,
reality?
if everything is hunky-dory and there's sufficient water, they must supply. So I think you're imposing a requirement that is beyond your
I'm not,
power.
listen, Mr. Costa, I'm not imposing a requirement. The requirement existed in the secret, okay? I'm just looking to protect our village, as is this board.
Well, the village, I think, can, from what I've dealt with, can protect themselves, but we do have a water supply agreement, and they must supply us with our water needs. I mean, they signed it, they approved it, and we amended it to comply with some other issues they had, nothing to do with
Okay.
supply. And that's all I can say. I mean, it's really, ultimately, if the water had to be rationed, town comes second, village comes first. That's
Okay.
about all I can do.
No, that's fine.
It's a good question, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else have any questions, concerns? Council?
Ron, did you want to address anything yourself prior to that question, or?
Well, I
Mark
think I
introduced
just,
it. Okay.
I believe everything before you is sufficiently filed, the petition, the map, the engineering plans, the meets and bounds. And just for the public, this district is formed, and I don't know if this was said before, solely for the town residents within the Smith Farm subdivision. There's village and there's town, as you know. And we believe we've complied with all of the legal requirements required for the formation of a district, and we would request that you vote to approve it.
Now, you know, we have to hold this open
No,
until next month.
I understand.
Yeah, I spoke to
And
Mr.
I-
Coffey
Listen,
today.
that was my error. I was late in getting it to our clerk, so I take full blame for that, and I apologize.
No apology needed. I was late in getting here, and I'm not going to blame it on the trooper.
How fast were you going?
Okay.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions, or? All right, so you want to continue it to the next?
Is there anybody else that was speaking?
No,
No?
that was all that signed up, unless anybody from the
So,
public.
so I'll make a motion to keep open the public hearing for the formation of the town water district to be known as Smith Farm Water District to September 4th at, let's say, 7:20.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Okay.
All right, Supervisor, we'll draft an order for the establishment of the district in preparation for that September meeting.
Okay.
What day is it?
September 4th, it's a Wednesday because Labor Day's on the 2nd.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
No, I need him to file.
Okay,
Ron?
we need to set a motion to set a public hearing for the introduction of the cross-connection local law between us and the county. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second? Anyone else have anything to say, discussion?
Would that also be on September 4th?
Yes,
Yep.
it'll be on September 4th at 7:30. 7:25.
7:30 or 7:25?
7:25.
7:25.
Can we make that 7:28?
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Next item, it's just an announcement for our MS4 annual report. It has been posted on our website as of last week, even prior to that.
Yeah, it was up since May.
Yeah, it's up since May. We do have an audit scheduled for August 14th, John?
Yes.
Okay, with the DEC to go over that. We are prepared. We've had some pre-meetings with our engineers, and we know there's a couple of deficiencies that we have, minor deficiencies that we have to correct, and we will do so as best possible until that time comes for the meeting. Okay. Item number 4.1 is the audit of claims. We have two abstracts. The first one is 19-012, which is from the general fund. We need a motion to approve that for $632,496.15. All those invoices have been authorized by at least 3 town board members.
Then I will make that motion.
Second by Cologne.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Second item under the order of claims is the escrow fund, which is $5,357.10, and it's abstract number 19008. We need I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second. Cologne, a second.
Call a second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye?
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Next item is the budgetary transfer request. This is essentially an abstract that has multiple budgetary transfers on it. The abstract will be known as 0108052019. And that has everything from Orange County Sewer District Number 1, shared services, town council, tax roll, contingency, town clerk, shared services for gas, electric, and different supports, the boathouse, Foundation maintenance and repair at the park, central data processing, safety inspection, planning board notices, Water District 12, maintenance contractual items, Water District 14 items, and general repairs. So I would like a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Sal. Cologne is second.
Seconded by Cologne. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 6.1 is the acceptance of the July 1st, 2019 minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Cologne is second.
Second, was there, I know, Mary, you had a
Mary, you
concern
had a
about
question.
something?
Well, I believe Valerie already had that corrected.
Okay. Okay, call the question then.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Next is to formally approve the meeting for September 7th. I would like to make a motion.
September 4th.
I'm sorry,
Fourth.
September
Sorry.
4th. No, my mistake. I'm looking at item 7. We have to approve the meeting date of September 4th, 2019 at 7 p.m., and it was undetermined because of the Labor Day holiday.
Did we approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, go.
And that is a Wednesday, just so the
So
public
Wednesday
is
night.
aware.
It's Wednesday night.
7 p.m.
All right,
I will make that motion.
I will second.
go ahead.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Item 7.2 is the hiring of a part-time clerk. We have interviewed 5 people, and it was the determination of the bunch of us that we hire Lindsay Cassanite as clerk to work with the finance department, Helen Knickerbocker and Roberta McBride, at an hourly rate of $18.25. The hours worked would be 17.5 hours per week until the end of this year, which is essentially a total of $385 hours and $7,026.25. So I'd like to make that motion to hire Lindsay. We have been approved by Civil Service to make that hire. We've met all the requirements.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Scancarello. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. In addition to that, this was not in the abstract. We need a transfer from Central Data Processing Personal Services, account number A0001680-1020-00 of $8,000, and that would be transferred to the part-time employees under the supervisors personnel services of A0001220-1030-00. So I'd like to make that motion to transfer that $8,000.
Cologne is second on the transfer.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.3 is the Planning and Zoning Support Staff Workshop, which will be held Friday, September 13th, 2019. It is through the Orange County Municipal Planning Federation. It's going to be held at the Harness Racing Museum in Goshen. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It includes registration and breakfast. The fee for the workshop is $35 per person, and we need to discuss sending Noreen McSweeney, who is our Planning Board and Zoning Board Secretary, and Alexandria Travato, who's the Assistant to the Building Inspector, so that they can attend this workshop. I will make that motion. Both departments have been made aware of it. Both employees have been made aware of it. So I will make that motion to approve that.
I will second.
Okay, just to add, some of the topics include FOIL, GIS locating, website, 239 reviews, and AG districts. So, call the question if there's no other discussion.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay. Item 7.4 is the Assessors Annual Conference. This is a request from April McDonald to attend the 2019 New York State Assessors Association Seminar on Assessment Administration, taking place September 22nd through September 25th, 2019, in Lake Placid, at a cost of $1,110. Just so we get the breakdown here, the tuition is $175. The hotel cost and conference meals are $867. There are some meals that are not being paid for, which are $68. That totals $1,110. It is budgeted under item 1-A0001355-4189-00. There is no mileage associated with this. You will be using one of the building department's vehicles.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay. Next item is the ethics training. We have a recommendation letter from the Board of Ethics regarding ethics training for Town of Monroe employees, boards, and commissions. I received this from the chairman, Tom Sullivan. The trainer will be Mr. Stephen Leventhal of Leventhal, Mulaney, and Blinkoff out of Roslyn, New York. He is an expert in ethics, has various publications, has done various training seminars. The cost for this would be up to $1,000. His first seminar, and most of them will last between an hour and a half and 2 hours, would be $500. The two additional ones, which would be the same ones following, would be $250 for each additional session. I would like to make a motion to approve this. I have spoken with both the chairman and the secretary on this, so we need a second for that.
I'll second.
For discussion, it's going only to cost us $1,000?
Plus $250 if there's any additional classes per.
No, yeah, well, no, it's up to $1,000.
Up to $1,000.
500,
Oh, okay.
250, 250. It will be taken out of line item A00014704500-00.
Mandatory training, I believe.
Do you want that
It's up to
motion to
1,000.
be not to exceed 1,000?
Yes, not to exceed 1,000, please. Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.6, the consolidated funding application. Rick, did you want to go over that?
Stand by. Seven, six. Trying to find my copy here, just give me a minute. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess in the interest of time, I'll just read the whereas, and I'll start with resolution authorizing the submission of New York State consolidated funding applications by the Town of Monroe. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board as follows. Section 1. All whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as though set forth in full. The Town Board is authorized to complete and submit the appropriate applications to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Grant Program. The Town Supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the project agreement in a form acceptable to the town's legal counsel. The Town Clerk and any other official, employees, are authorized to take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. This resolution shall be taken effective immediately. The question of the application of the foregoing resolution put to a vote. So,
Okay, you making a motion?
make a motion to
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Item 7.7, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town to go out to bid for renovations related to the improvements necessary at the town hall. And I would like to add to that motion that these bid packages be approved by Mr. Nugent, our counsel, and McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel,
With all the
both offices.
Are you making the motion?
Yes.
I'll second it, happily.
Any other discussion? I've had meetings with MHE. Mr. Nugent and I have discussed various issues of it. We're just about there. There is a plan of action which was sent to me this afternoon by Mr. Shute from McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel's office. The plan is that the bids will be available on September 10th. They'll be due October 8th, and we can award the project around the 21st
Of October.
of October, right? Sorry.
Excellent. So we should
Okay.
be done by the holidays.
Yeah, we would hope,
The sooner the better.
yeah. So, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay. We have a Orange County elevator contract. We are responsible for the elevator at the flagship cinemas. It's one of two aspects we're responsible for. The other is the roof. We need to perform Cat 1 tests on the elevator at 34 Mill Pond Parkway, which is currently operated by Flagship. The cost of the contract is $1,175. So we need a motion
For that
to approve the
contract?
supervisor to sign.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
I'll abstain.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 7.9, Orange County Land Trust event. I'd like to approve the disbursement of I'd like to approve the payment of 2 tickets for Councilman Rick Colon and Councilman Sal Scancarello's attendance at the Orange County Land Trust event taking place on Thursday, August 22nd, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Warwick Valley Winery. Last year, Councilman McGinn and myself went, and it was a great affair. It was nice to meet people from the Land Trust. It's a great organization, and we hope in the future we'll be able to do some business with them. Like I said, the tickets are $65 a person. I don't know what Councilwoman Bingham's plans are for that evening, but Councilman McGinn and I will be going. We'll be paying our own way this year. So I'd like to make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
I have to abstain. So I'm going?
Well, you're going. You got to approve it.
All right, so-
Otherwise, you can't go.
All right, then let me approve it then. Aye, Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay.
You sure I had to?
It's only because McGinn's not here.
Oh, man.
So, go on.
Rick, I'll drive. I'll drive, Rick.
That's what worries me.
Okay, next item, 7.10, the LoSAP termination agreement calculation. We need to place this on the ballot for the November election.
All right.
Again, what we'd like to do is abolish the LoSAP program, which is under the Lakeside Fire Company, and it should be placed on the November 2019 ballot. So just to break down, it's costing us about $21,000 a year to maintain this program, and what this would do would be allow us to pay out bulk sums to all those members in the fire department at Lakeside. We will not be abolishing the Lakeside Fire Department. I repeat, we will not be abolishing that. Last year, it got out on Facebook, and it totally discombobulated the way people voted, and they told, a bunch of people had told me that afterwards. So I guarantee Mr. Nugent and I will discuss the way it's worded and make sure that that first line doesn't say the abolishment of Lakeside Fire District.
Follow-up comment to that, please.
Go ahead.
Folks, we always see a lot of different things on Facebook. When in doubt, please call up the town hall. Don't always take it as gospel, whatever you see on Facebook when it concerns something this important with the town, because quite often people, I think they, with good intention, they misunderstand. So if you need a real answer on something, you're not quite sure, please give us a call.
Second for discussion.
Yeah.
Is this still going to be a lump sum payout? Because part of the concern the last time was this might negate the ability of some of the volunteer firemen to qualify for basic star or enhanced star if it puts them over the income threshold.
Only for 1 year?
Yeah, it's only for 1 year. It is going to be a one lump sum payout. We've talked to them, there's no other way around it. Both other fire district, both other firehouses. Companies, yes. Companies abolished it, and right now, shut down the program effective 12/31, it would cost $308,251. Assets currently are estimated at $287,383, which leaves $20,868 that the town has to foot the bill on. And that would be constant as the years go on. And in fact, it would probably increase depending upon the return on the investment. So we have a motion to place it on the agenda in November.
You need the ballot.
Ballot.
I'm sorry, on the ballot in November. We have a second. I will call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Okay. One other thing I forgot to discuss is I spoke to Lenny Lennox, who was a representative over there, and Lenny was understanding and seemed to be, in favor of it.
Supervisor?
Yes.
I will call the Board of Elections tomorrow because some things have changed, and I know the library proposition had to be in at the beginning of August to be on the ballot. So I'm not sure if it pertains to this. I'm hoping that we still have time to get it on the November ballot. Otherwise, we would have to hold a special election.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item is God's Grace Ministry Family and Friends Day. So for about 2.5 months, God's Grace Ministry has used our the old worship hall, which will be our town court, for their services on Sunday. They have requested a Family and Friends Day on August 17th, 2019, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Their request is to include barbecuing, games, face painting, that kind of event. And although it's a great event, I personally do not think that our town hall is ready to host something.
I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think we're ready for that. Can they push it back?
I have to talk to the pastor, but right now with commercial buildings, you have to keep your barbecue, number one, off the deck as per code, and number two, at least 10 feet away from the deck. Part of the renovations that we're going to be doing,
That's why
is going to enable them to have an event just outside the main doors of what would be our meeting room. We're going to be finishing off the patio there that has a foundation already under it. So I think that would be, a perfect time. I kind of prefaced a conversation with Pastor Elijah that, I don't know if we're ready for this. I don't know what the town board's feeling on it was, but I just don't think something like this would lend itself to the proper facilities right now that we have. I don't believe we have them.
I agree with you.
So,
What about Monbassia Park and the pavilion up there?
yeah,
Could we suggest that to them as an alternative?
I'm going to
It's not a bad
suggest.
idea.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest Monbassia, and I'll also suggest O&R
O&R too.
if they want to have it. They're going to have to obviously provide insurance additionally for those sites, but I have no problem for that. This would have been great for them because it would be right after their services, so they really wouldn't have had to go far.
Right.
But we'll see. The other option, if they don't like that, is, I don't know if the pavilions at Smith's Clove are open. I could give him John Battaglia's phone number, and we could maybe work something out there as well.
Definitely try to work with them. They're good people, but I think that's...
Phenomenal people.
Yeah.
Phenomenal people, so, okay. So we don't need any motion for that. Okay, the request for the use of Town Hall parking lot. This is pretty simple. The United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism wants to utilize the Town Hall parking lot on October 18th and 25th, just for a pickup for their Met New York encampment. They have submitted a facility use form. They have also submitted insurance and have provided the deposits. The insurance certificate also lists the town of Monroe at 1465 Orange Turnpike as the certificate holder and the additional insured. So I would like to make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Okay. Item 713, the proposal for preparation of the GEIS Conservation Cluster Residential Floating Zone contract, so to speak, from Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees. Council, would you like to discuss that?
Yes, proposal for the generic environmental impact statement related to the CCR overlay zoning that the town is currently holding the public hearing and continuing the public hearing on. So this is the environmental work I mentioned earlier that needs to be done.
Okay. So we need approval for this. The cost is approximately $77,500 with our planner. Breakdown is as follows. Theoretical development is $4,000. The EAS form is $1,000. Scoping is $5,000. The draft GEIS is $40,000. The final GEIS is $15,000. The follow-up to the final draft and GEIS and document revisions is $2,500. The finding statement is $5,000. The GEIS meeting and public hearings are $4,000. And the printing reimbursables for all of that, and a full copy, 5 copies of the draft and 1 to the town clerk, is $1,000.
Is that all?
Which totals $77,500.
With options?
Well, the options we'll have to discuss at a later meeting, because we wanted to speak to him about that.
All right.
So,
Something we have to do,
yeah.
Yep.
and it's something that's long overdue. So,
Would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
It's a lot of money.
Yes,
It is.
but it's something we have to do.
It is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but I think it'll be money well spent.
Positive.
Save us in the long run.
Yeah, securing the town in the future, so.
So an applicant, just to educate the audience, the applicant then will not have to do another GIS if they qualify for this overlay district.
It's the way I understand it, but I'll defer to council.
Yeah, that has to be finalized for that to be part of it, but at this point, it's just a generic on the overall zoning, and if there is any specific plan finalized, it can be considered as part of the GEIS.
Any other discussion?
Bingham, aye.
Not yet, not yet.
No, that's right. It's right. Call the question, big line.
Bingham, aye.
All right, now, Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
Okay, so moved. I have 2 items that I have to be brought up from the floor. Item number 7.14, which is I'll read the motion that I'd like to make. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe approves an hourly rate increase for the town of Monroe Highway Department employees Peter Barber and Christopher Cox to $34.33. That's $34.33 as per their designation as licensed water operators, effective July 29, 2019. Just so everyone understands, they passed their license test on July 29th, and that increase is a 97-cent increase based on their HEO current rate. This would be an HEO 1 base salary, which is defined in the collective bargaining agreement with the highway and IBEW.
Also, I might add, it's still a lot cheaper than what we were doing before, having an
Oh.
outside water. So we're still saving a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
So they have their time in,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
passed,
certification.
All the
They
licensing.
passed the class, they have their license, the license is basically coming to them through the mail. The Board of Health was down here, they did their certification test, and the pump houses accept, themselves, and we're good to go.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I personally watched them that Sunday night that we had the
break.
the malfunction over in Water District 14, and I was as impressed as I ever was with the way they handled themselves and the way they got to the root of the problem. Obviously, with the help of Delfino, who was there, but they talked and they kind of like worked through every aspect of getting that
There's a lot of
corrected.
things, there's some things you can do, some things you can't. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is, Delfino, thank God, is pretty good at what he does, and
Yeah.
he's, 24-hour service for us, and that's what we
Yep.
wanted. And, just like Jimmy Hebner was up there as well, so it's good. But you're right, Tony, I mean, these guys put forth the effort, and they got where they need to be.
Yeah. So, just so we're clear, so we have to,
We have to
Motion
approve
on
that. You gave the,
yes. I
all right,
made
so
the
it has to
motion.
be, all right, so I'll second it. Clone is second.
Go on a second. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cordon, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. In addition to that, Wayne Kirkpatrick out in Blooming Grove has already said that if there's anything that we need, don't hesitate to call him. And I know you have a great relationship with Wayne.
Oh, yeah, we get along very well, and we actually had that one water main break, we was able to use a jet truck. Of course, they're, IMA and that out to us, but that's cheaper, still cheaper than going to somebody else.
Yeah.
I do have a couple things too, Tony, I don't know if you want to get.
I got one other item. So we have a recommendation, and I don't know all the details on this, but the contract is up the end of August. And it's a contract for a Toshiba copier. Our current copier in the assessor's office is functional. They do a lot of copies. The copier at Dial-A-Bus is over 10 years old, or going to be over 10 years old after this year, and it will not be serviceable by Toshiba. So the thought by April was that we look at this contract, possibly make the decision to purchase it, or lease it with an option to purchase, and the difference was from like $206 to $230. Don't quote me on the numbers, but it was only about
$30.
$30. Council, I don't know how to shape this so that we could do further investigation of it without having to have another meeting to approve it.
You can make it contingent,
On your signature.
if you're going to authorize it, but how much,
You're looking at $230 a month,
From 206.
from 206, I think it was.
Make a contingent on 240.
I mean, you can set a maximum,
We
Set
said
a max.
maximum,
not to exceed if you want to.
based on the supervisor's approval? Is
Yep.
that-
Good.
Yeah, I mean, the board can give you an authorization up to an amount.
Okay. All right, so I can't make that motion.
I'll make the motion to a maximum of 245, just in case, of $245 per month for the leasing of a copier, and that would be for what, the assessor's office?
Yeah, and the assessors one would go over to...
And that would go over to Dial-A-Buzz. Okay.
Second.
And based on, your investigation, all right?
Yeah. You know what? Mayor Dwyer, April told me that, did the village just pass that contract?
3.
You got 3 of them? All right, you want to just give us one then, and we don't have to worry about it?
That's teamwork. That's teamwork right there.
And I don't, was it roughly the same rate?
No, it could be much better for you.
Yeah?
Yeah. We just signed one up, DPW, $67 a month.
Oh, okay.
And then the Village Hall and PD was $1.13
$1.13
a month.
a month?
0, I think.
Yeah, because, just so you know, that number I gave you was for 2 copiers.
Well, there you go.
So, it was for the new one and the one that's currently in there, so,
Oh, for service, maintenance,
yeah,
good number.
all right,
The 67 was a really good number. I'll give you the specs, you can use it if you want.
all right, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion,
We have the
and
motion.
a second,
Second.
call the question,
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
abstain,
Scancarello, aye.
okay, so moved. Okay, you had something else? Or somebody said they had something
John.
else?
No, I didn't.
John, I'm sorry, John.
John.
I just got 3 things. Unfortunately, I've been on Lake Region for, 2.5, 3 weeks now, so I've been kind of busy. Lake Region's going pretty good. We made up the right side all the way to the top, and we're starting the left side going up, as you know. You've been up there quite a bit, checking things out, so the men are working really, really well, and through some pretty tough conditions. This last couple of weeks been hot. So just wanted to put that out there. Compost facility. It's time again. 3 years ago, we ended up getting a tub grinder in there. And we have to do it again. I believe the village assisted with paying for the tub grinder with us back then, and I believe Village of Harriman, we should ask if they would be so willing to also assist with that payment. Tub grinder is about $5,000 a day, plus $150 in fuel. Well, 150 gallons in fuel a day.
A day.
Oh, yeah, that goes for a lot of fuel,
Yeah.
roughly. I mean, it could be 70, 80, 90, but usually...
It's not that far off, trust me.
You know what I'm saying, so. And we're looking at probably 3 days of grinding. 2, but maybe 3, so.
Okay,
We can reach out to Harriman maybe and see if they'll be willing to chip in and the village, and then we can maybe get that done.
okay.
With that being said, we was able to clear a lot of leaf debris out of there and compost 3 years ago. We have to do that again. I have 3 guys that have actually contacted me. Jeff from Material Processors is interested in taking some stuff out of there. Di Marino from Tuxedo is as well, and O&R Mason Supply.
What do they do with it?
They'll mix it with
Mulch?
additional dirt, and they will make topsoil out of it, and eventually they will sell it.
Wow.
We do not have that luxury, nor do we have the equipment to
Space,
do so.
Yeah.
You know, it would be nice if we did, but with that being said, I'd like to put that out for surplus. I'm gonna say approximately 10,000 ton of leaf and compost materials, so we can talk to these fellas and see what we can get out of them.
Okay,
If anything, I'm not saying we're gonna get any money out of them, but we might get some topsoil out of them or something like that.
okay.
So that I would probably need the board to vote on for that.
Okay, so you need a motion? You need
I would
a
think so,
resolution?
yeah, for that, figure 10,000 ton of topsoil, compost and leaf debris.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we allow the highway to surplus 10,000 tons of compost at the compost facility.
materials.
Compost material.
No second.
Any other discussion?
I understand the DEC offers classes at some point about composting, so maybe in the future, some highway.
Oh, yeah, and I have actually
Go
sat
to
in on a
that.
couple different scenarios. I also went down to Rockland County a few years back and checked out their facility. Again, with having a good facility like that, you need to spend some money to get the equipment you would need.
Future grant.
Possible future grants, you know.
Okay. All right. That was my question.
Okay, call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay.
Thank you, and I have one more thing. As you all know, and I know Supervisor Cardone actually wanted to mention this, but Rick Beams has retired officially. He is going to be a gentleman that's going to be missed and definitely still needed. You know, he was an asset to the town of Monroe.
Yes,
And he
absolutely.
should be recognized for
Yeah, and we
his
had,
dedication. And
we
his
had talked
service.
about doing that in September, so.
But with that being said, I still have to replace him with another employee. And I think I'd like to start that process, and I just don't know if the board would like to start that process looking for a highway department employee who has a water license, or just a regular AGO or MEO coming out, so.
I think if someone can do both, I think it's more advantageous for us, especially if you're looking at, you know, the difference of $1, less than $1 per hour.
Exactly. I think it's been beneficial as well.
Yeah.
Especially as we have more water districts.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And Ricky was an AGO one and kind of supervisor in there for a while, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start the process, looking for a new employee, which would be posted in the record and doing interviews.
I'm sorry, Rick just having.
Rick's being
no,
Rick.
I'm sorry, Rick's being Rick. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow John Sharney to proceed with pursuing the hiring of another EO with a water license.
I'll second that.
Sure.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
All
all I
right.
have.
Oh, that's all you were gonna get, John.
Is that
Just a big thank you, because I know we had, you know, Billy Kyle's out for a while, and Billy runs our excavator, and without the fact that we have a highway superintendent that is able to run machinery and an excavator, Lake Region Boulevard would not be in the position it is now, because I know you were on that thing for at least 4 days.
Almost pushing 2 weeks now.
Really?
On it again today, so. Billy, I'm hoping is gonna be back maybe this week, end of this week or next week. He got a,
Don't talk about what you got.
yeah,
No HIPAA violations.
yeah, no HIPAA stuff, but
Yeah. All right.
he's okay. He'll be all right.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Thank you, John. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, old business, 8.1, the RFP for security systems. Council McGinn and I spoke today, and he would like that the town approve sending out to those vendors deemed qualified based on the previous RFQ, the bid specs for the town hall security system with a return date of August 29th at 10 a.m. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make it.
All right, I'll second, Cologne second.
Hold on a second. Any other discussion? Council, have you seen the bid specs and approved them? or-
The RFP, we prepared it,
Right, okay.
so, yes.
Yep. Okay. So call the question then.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Number 8.2, old business, Old Country Road.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Howard Crowder from Scopus and Goodwitz for the Village of Cures Joel. And with me is our engineer, Tomm, who has some materials for you. This evening, we'd like to talk to you about two things, principally a temporary water line to service the homeowners on Old Country Road,
Thank you.
and to follow up some initial discussions and correspondence we had sent to you regarding the formation of a water district to encompass those houses on Old Country Road. I'll turn it over to Tomm to provide you the details on the water line.
Good evening. Your top figure is a figure depicting the proposed temporary water main that we're looking to get to install along the town right away, right on the edge of where Old Country Road and the properties are. You know, in the aspect of 46, 42, 38, 34, 24, on that side of the road. It would be a PVC poly line that would run down. When we cross the driveways, there would be ramps or bumpers that would, or sleeves where the temporary conduit would go through. And it's proposed to serve 34 Old Country Road, which is presently being serviced by a tanker truck. And then we're also proposing to also service 24 Old Country Road, which also needs a water supply source.
What is, what are 12 and 16 supplied by?
Individual wells. Matter of fact, all of the homes, with the exception of
Those two.
48, are serviced by individual domestic wells.
Where's 48?
Where's
Where's
48?
48?
48 is green.
Oh, I'm sorry.
46.
46.
No, it's more green.
Okay.
Yeah, my apologies.
Yeah.
And 55, or?
And 55, but that was a long time ago in the aspect of the agreement of running the water main from Brenner property to the village.
Okay.
In the agreement of running that line quite some time ago, the homeowner got
The other residences that will not be serviced by this, you said they have their own private wells?
They
Yeah.
won't be serviced
They-
by the temporary line.
They won't be serviced by the temporary. Will they have enough water? I mean, because those wells have been going down, and that's been a bone of
Yeah.
contention, so.
What we're trying to do right now with the temporary water main is to resolve the existing water supply issues. So basically, that line would run from a connection on Ivy and run down to serve 34 and 24. Of course, if there are any other issues with any other homes before the permanent main is installed, we can certainly connect any
okay.
additional homes to the temporary.
If they need it, right.
That's correct.
Okay.
As we said, this is a temporary effort to provide immediate relief for these properties. A long-term solution is to install a permanent main in the public right-of-way.
Okay, and what, do you have a time frame for the permanent main?
Yes. Well, on my schedule, I would hope to have it in before inclemental weather in December, basically.
Is this gonna,
I would hope to
Before
have
snow.
it before December, before inclemental weather.
For
so
the
it's gonna
first
be
one.
below ground, so it won't
Permanent would
freeze?
be below, yes,
Right.
But the temporary is gonna be
above
above?
ground area. It would run, as you can see, the dotted red line, it would run to the edge of the curve of the road. The 8-inch, it's an 8-inch ductile. It's an 8-inch ductile. What's proposed for the permanent line, it's approximately 800 feet in length. And to install it, we could probably do, or the contractor could probably do 200 feet a day. So really to install the water main itself would be a very short period of time. You know, the issue is forming the water district first, and then the
Okay.
main is designed, and upon the water supply agreement or forming a district, the village will authorize us to submit it to Orange County for approvals,
Okay.
which would take a very short period of time.
Okay, my concern here is that since this was done at the detriment of the homeowners by the Larkin wells, and there's going to obviously be some engineering costs and attorney's fees, and I'm assuming other costs, that the water company would bear those costs, not the town of Monroe.
Yeah, there are no costs for the town of Monroe associated with this project. The village is going to be assuming all costs.
And the sale of the water?
Excuse me?
The water sales?
No, the
the water
property
rents?
owners will pay for the water that they use.
Not the
the
individual hookup,
infrastructure.
and not the infrastructure.
Correct.
Right.
The village will pay for all of the lines, the mains, but the homeowners will be responsible for paying for the water that they consume.
Do you know what that rate is?
I don't offhand, but it's the same rate that the village uses elsewhere. It's not, it's not a rate that I have off the
I
top
just
of
know
my head.
you have to pay hookup fees, but these residents will not have to pay any hookup fees.
That's correct.
That's
No,
correct.
no hookup fees.
Including any restoration of disturbance.
You're
Same
planning
way
on
that-
having the permanent line done by December, you're saying?
Well, I'm hoping,
Some
I'm
of
saying
that,
you're gonna put a temporary line up alongside the roadway that's gonna be above ground, correct?
yes.
yes.
So if that's not done by December, it better be far enough back to where my snowplows don't destroy it on.
Understandable.
Well, is that line even
And
feasible?
when you get to the underground work, we're gonna need a road opening permit as well.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Through the
Of course.
highway
Jesus
department.
Yeah.
Of course.
Can that temporary line even work in the winter, though? Once you hit the
Ice and snow.
cold weather? No.
No.
So is there any
There's a way of
contingency?
insulating it and leading it off, but we're really hoping that I'm hoping that we have the main in.
And while we have the highway superintendent here, besides the road opening for the initial connection, are there any other disturbances or anything along the town roadways? I assume driveways are going to be,
Okay, is it the question on the, related to the temporary or the permanent?
the temporary for now.
Okay, so yes, the connection would be to Ivy Lane, and then there'll be no disturbances along where the line is proposed to lay, basically.
Okay, and what happens to driveways? How are they being handled?
They're going to be handled, there's going to be a ramp or a bumper. I think you probably see them in shopping centers and stuff, generally used for running temporary electric or water lines. They're hollow, so you run the line through the middle, and they're rather heavy, so, moving of cars up and down don't tend to disturb the movement.
Okay.
Now, are both sides of the road being serviced by that permanent main?
Yeah, that's correct. yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because I just don't see hookups. There's no laterals off the main on the,
That would be correct.
let's say, the northwest side of the road.
Yeah, well, the actual, how the service connection would be installed or laid out would be from the inspection of the home, determine which side would be the best. It could be a landscaping issue. Basically, it'll be the most cost-effective approach to enter a house.
Okay, now, is there a sewer line in that road that will kind of prohibit you from crossing?
No,
No?
there is a sewer line, but it doesn't prevent us from crossing.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have. The only other question is, what is needed for you to move forward for the permanent line?
For the permanent line, well, first, for the temporary line, we need your board's permission to allow us to use the right-of-way to install the temporary line. Once the temporary line's in place, we need your board's approval for the formation of a water district to encompass those properties.
Well, let me just say this. The formation of the water district is really inconsequential, other than for the village to collect the bills. So I don't think that's needed. Correct me if I'm wrong, council. I don't think that's needed for you to go ahead and start the planning process for putting the permanent line in.
We have started that planning
Oh, yes.
process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've done that. Okay, so we're ready to move forward, but we do want to put our lines into a water district and not just in the town right-of-way. We want the right-of-way, we want to have the legal entity established so that we can have a relationship with that entity for service to that entity. The village can't just go and put water lines in the streets of the town without having the town's approval and an entity with which to address that. And that entity is normally a water district.
I disagree a little with you there, but I'll let you and Brian fight that one out.
I would disagree a little bit too, but I understand what's being said, but the town could technically authorize the installation of a permanent water main without a water district, but the water
Right.
district is really for the purposes of the village to be able to
Collect
collect
water
and
rates.
have enforcement on the users of the system. I mean, that's what its purpose is. But is there any other obstacle then beyond the water district formation? Is there anything else that needs to be done with respect to the permanent line?
Oh, the permanent line would require, health department approvals. But I don't expect that. It's a 200-foot, work. I don't expect there to be a lengthy process in the approval process.
But is that in progress, or in other words, can they review it, or is the village not moving forward
The
until?
village has asked us to hold on to the plans and design until we have water district job with the town.
Right,
The
so,
village of Carajol?
Yes.
Wait, they've asked you to hold
Hold
off?
on to submission.
To not submit.
On the permanent.
Until we know that we have permission of the town to
To
do
have the
that.
water district, yeah.
You want to hold us hostage?
No.
Well,
No, not at
that's
all.
basically what that's sounding like, because,
No, we don't have the authority to just go put water lines in your town roads and town right-of-ways. We'd like your permission to do that.
okay, well, once our engineers get all your plans and specifications, they can review it and approve it along with our highway superintendent.
Absolutely.
So do we have your authorization to go forward and present that to them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I thought you meant the water district.
Well, we'd like that too, but I understand you're not ready to
Yeah.
address that.
Well, we have to have maps, plans, and reports presented to our attorney. We
Yes.
don't have any of that yet.
Yes.
That's what we're working on.
yeah,
Right.
it has to be filed with the town clerk to initiate that process for the water district anyway, so that would
Yep,
be
that's-
step one.
That's in process.
Yeah, it's in the process.
But tonight, your primary authorization you're looking for is with respect to the temporary
Yes.
That's
water line.
correct.
Okay.
And we can have that line within a couple of days upon authorization.
Yeah, so, it's up to the board if you want to, I don't know if, your engineers reviewed anything or if you want them to. We may also need a right-of-way agreement, for the installation of the temporary line. I would think, for example, just in coverage with a certificate of insurance in the event that, something happens with that
Somebody
line, or
tripped
there's
on it.
flooding, or, there's some type of liability issue, so we would have an agreement for the use of the right-of-way for the temporary purpose. We can do that, through whatever date. That's just language that can be worked out. And then, again, if you want the town's engineer to review the plans, I don't know if Mr. Edsel has reviewed the plan to okay it, and of course, Mr. Sherney, with respect to the connection, I assume there'll be a road opening permit for that portion. I don't know, is there anything else, John, that you would need?
No, that's basically all I need, as long as they follow my directions when they backfill, line cut and all that good stuff, so.
So, if the board, I would defer to the board, you could pass a resolution authorizing the installation of a temporary water line on Old Country Road, subject to a right-of-way agreement, any and all required permits, and if you want to add review by the town engineer of the plans for any comments, and subject to his comments, you could adopt that resolution.
Okay, in addition to that, would we have to request an escrow?
Well, that's back to your question earlier, because I don't know if there was an understanding there. You were asking about the fees to be paid, and I think Mr. Protter was talking about their own fees, so I think your point was, I don't think you connected on that point. You were asking, I believe, that the town shouldn't incur costs for that review, so if there's a cost for Mr. Edsel to review it, that should be paid by
And yourself?
the village and myself.
Yeah.
I'm an expert on water lines.
Is this for the temporary we're speaking of?
As for anything
Temp
associated
and
with...
permanent.
Well, I guess for tonight's purpose, it would be the temporary, yes.
Right.
And then we can deal with the permanent moving forward. And I don't know if you have an amount or if we know, but you can just put something in up to, or, an estimated amount. Again, I think primarily he's reviewing these plans right here, and I guess whatever questions he would have for Mr. Cusack, they could confer with one another.
All right.
Our view, will just be as to the agreement, and if you want to draft it, then,
Okay.
we can bring that cost down a little bit for the review. I wouldn't know what to guess as far as Mr. Edsel's review of this.
Have you seen attorney's fees lately?
They're not as high as engineers.
A technical report was submitted to the town. Would it be okay for me to send it directly tomorrow?
That's fine.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's fine, yeah, send it tomorrow.
It'll be just a pass-along fee, I guess, right? whatever.
I mean, the other option is we can just say in the resolution, the reimbursement of the reasonable engineer and attorney fees based on the costs that are currently charged to the town, because I believe you have a relationship with McGoey Hauser
Yeah.
with an hourly rate, so,
Yeah, that's fine. I could put something like that in the proposed agreement if you wish.
okay. Don't make me say that whole resolution again, but,
No, that's fine. And in that agreement, there'll be the fact that there's no cost to anyone to install a temporary or the permanent.
meaning the residents?
Or residents or
Yeah.
the town.
Okay.
All right.
But that, for tonight, we're only addressing...
We're only addressing the temporary.
But I understand you.
So you
I
gotta-
understand and I hear you.
Yeah,
And it was the village's intention that the town not have to incur any expense. in
Okay.
connection
All right,
with
thank you.
this.
all right.
You gotta
Okay,
put
so
that-
we can always, so if somebody wants to adopt the resolution, it would be to authorize the town attorney to work with Mr. Trotter to enter an agreement for the installation of a temporary water line to be reviewed by the town engineer, and any costs to be incurred by the village for that review, reasonable costs. And don't know if I missed anything else that I said before.
I think that's
Subject
it.
to any other permits that might be required.
Yeah, subject, thank you, to any other permits that may be required from the town,
make-
including the road opening permit.
All right, I'll make the motion.
I'll
I will
second
second.
Second.
Councilwoman Bingham seconded it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
Appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
will be back to you when we have the map plan and report filed with the...
One other question.
Yes.
As long as we're moving expeditiously, what would happen if the permanent line did not get installed by December 1?
If the permanent line did not, well, we'd have to find a heating mechanism to keep the temporary lines functioning.
Okay.
Yeah, so the proposed PVC line that's being installed, you're talking about $20,000 to have it installed. If you go with an insulated line, we're talking about $80,000, which we're really talking over 50% of the cost of, the 8-inch ductile main.
Yeah.
So why I say expedited, why I would like to have it done by December is because of, the cost.
Cost.
Yeah, okay.
And then, the overlapping cost, if we don't get it done, they're now gonna basically pay for $80,000 to have a line put in, which is almost the cost.
Cost of a permanent line.
Yeah.
No, if you don't get it in, you're gonna lose money anyway, because my plows are gonna destroy it, I guarantee that.
There you go.
Nothing personal. But
Just to be a-
If we have snow.
Just an FYI.
Let's hope it doesn't snow until the
Let's hope it
permanent line
doesn't
is...
snow, so I think it would be in your best interest to get that on the ground as soon as possible.
But once you authorize on this and the permanent meeting, certainly I promise that we'll be doing everything on our end in a very expedited fashion. We've
Okay.
already, Tam's given us prices for the temporary, the permanent, options on the temporary, and we're ready to pull the trigger as soon as we get authorization, and we will jump on it as soon as.
All right. I will speak to Mr. Etzel tomorrow. If he's not in, I'll speak to...
I just sent myself an email.
Okay.
And Mike, just to be ahead of the game on the maps, plans, and reports, the town clerk will require 2 Mylar maps when those get filed
Very
For the
good.
water district.
Yes,
for the final maps
Yeah.
plans.
understood. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Mr. Prada. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, good news.
Next item, public comment.
Lorraine Loning?
Hi, good evening. Lorraine Loning, Village of Monroe. Budget season is afoot. We have about 4 meetings before the public hearing for that budget. The last time I brought it up, I was told by Councilman McGinn that it would be a more transparent process than it was last year. So I was wondering if there was any consideration or have you thought more concretely about how that's going to be approached this year, and specifically about public involvement in the budget process. Also along the lines of budget, several months ago, you presented a year-to-date expense budget. I think it was back in March, maybe. I was wondering if there was anything more current, year-to-date expenses and revenues, to see where the town is as forecasted against the budget this current year. The second thing I want to talk about, I guess as it relates to the GEIS for the clustering houses, but for planning overall, as it relates to sewer district number 1, I've been here 20-something years, and it is sewer district number 1 is perpetually at about 94 or so % capacity. And it's remarkable. It never moves. But I'm anticipating with a lot of the building, because I know a lot of things were in conditional approval, conditional final approval, and things just weren't moving. But now we have a lot of things being built, and I know earlier this evening we talked about water coming in. I kind of want to talk about water going out. And when sewer district number 1 does hit capacity, what's going to happen? I know a lot of folks in the town are not in that district. They have septic and that sort of thing. I am in the district. I live in the village. And a lot of, if it goes over capacity or when it goes over capacity, this is kind of a self-created problem. We're all looking at it coming. Is there any way we can make the folks who are profiting off of these buildings somewhat responsible for any expansions or new sewer district number 1s, so that folks existing in the district aren't left holding the bag? I mean, I've had the ear of, I've been emailing David Church about this, not greatly satisfied with that. So I'm looking for some other folks to maybe carry the charge with me, and just making sure that the district is protected. Thank you.
Ward Brower?
Ward Brower, private citizen. What was that 2.8 public hearing for cross-connection local law? What was that all about?
At the end.
We're at the end. I'll have Mary address it.
Okay, I was just curious. As we saw tonight, a couple examples with the formation of the proposed water district next to ShopRite and what was just brought up here, sewer capacity. If we don't have a handle, that's what the seeker's all about. It's getting actual numbers. And the bedroom count doesn't get it. That's why your numbers go crazy, because your numbers are sometimes bogus or wishful thinking at the best. That's why this is archaic, this way we're doing things. There's a certain village that ravels in that, obviously, because they're always running out of water and sewer. They're never following seeker. It's pretty obvious to me. We need to get a handle on it. We need to actually get a real measurement on this, because if you don't, it comes back and bites us. Thank you.
That's all who signed up.
Sure, come on up. Oh, wait, we have Christine first, Johnny. Then you could go.
Come on, Johnny, please, give her a break.
I'll be quick. In a recent letter to the editor by Warwick Town Supervisor Michael Sweeten, he states that this past June marked the 15th anniversary of the first farm preserved under the town of Warwick's Purchase of Development Rights, PDR, bond referendum. The effort has resulted in more than 4,000 acres of preserved working farms. If these farms had gone to housing development, it would have resulted in more than 1,300 homes, which cost approximately $1.25 in services for every dollar of tax revenue produced. Instead, Warwick has thriving farms, a healthy base of natural resources, and a great quality of life. The bond issue not only permanently preserved 4,000 acres of land, but also resulted in other local improvements, including the development of the town beach at Greenwood Lake. 15 years ago, voters approved the measure that called for 0.75% of the purchase price on new real estate sales to be used by the Community Preservation Fund. That would preserve open space by buying the development rights to farms. Town of Warwick historian Professor Richard Hull has said, Warwick's bold and far-reaching efforts to preserve open space have been a win-win proposition. Through extraordinary foresight, we have saved critical aquifers, lakes and streams, productive farmlands, natural forest lands and wetlands, and scenic landscapes. Chester's Town Board has determined it is imperative to establish a Town of Chester Community Preservation Fund to supplement its ongoing efforts to protect open space and preserve farmland. The town has long supported purchase of development rights programs to ensure the long-term preservation of farmland for future generations. I realize we don't have an abundance of agricultural land left here in Monroe, but if this board is interested in pursuing these types of programs for Monroe, it would be to preserve open space and protect wetlands. It might be beneficial to talk with our state representatives about introducing a bill in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Deschner, Monroe. I'm concerned about the Orange County Sewer District also. Because I'm in the village and I have sewer. And so I'm in Orange County District 1, right? And all those houses on Nininger Road near the State Police Barracks, they're 4 stories high, and that's Orange County Sewer District 1 too, right? Is that,
No, they're covered.
Yes.
No, they're covered.
No, that's Orange County Sewer District number 1.
is that the sewer district?
Yes, that's Orange County Sewer District number 1.
Number 1, which is Monroe. I got sidetracked with the water. And that seems to me, that's going to overload the storage district. Was there any study done on that?
When you're done, I'll address yours and Lorraine's concerns.
Yeah. And now the other thing that came up tonight is the Smith Farm. Those houses by ShopRite, I didn't realize that that's outside the village.
Portion of it is.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're giving water
The
away.
The majority of it.
The majority of it, yeah. So we're giving water away, and we got to be careful of that, you know?
Well, you're not giving it away, they're getting charged for it, but
No, but,
they're using it.
you know, when I came up here in 1976, I was so happy that I had water and sewer in the village and a big reservoir. But I just, I'm having a strange feeling here that things are going fast, especially the sewer, the sewer district. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody want to go? You want me to go?
Go ahead.
Lorraine, as far as the transparency goes, we go through line by line during the budget. Everyone's welcome to have input. We have, you know, graphs up, we have charts up, anything associated with it. Anybody can, you know, add anything they want to say into it. What's that? Yes, we did. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You were entitled to come and make comments. I think we had one workshop, and the rest of them were, you were allowed to make comments. As far as the year-to-date stuff, unfortunately, because this meeting was so close to the end of last month, we won't be getting that till probably around the 12th to 13th. I actually have a meeting with our accounting firm to start the budget process on the 15th. And it'll be as transparent as it gets when it comes to that. With respect to your both your sewer district comments, we've been attending the Orange County Sewer District Longevity Plan meetings for 6 months now. There's plans in place. I think what you should do is you should go to those meetings so you can basically educate yourselves on it. I will say this, with respect to districts, because I personally asked this question, a district that has been already formed, there essentially is no way to quantify whether a larger contingency of water is used by a specific municipality. So you can't break that down, and that goes for the infrastructure costs and whatnot. It's spread out over the entire district equally. So let's say there's 500 homes in a district, and in the village of Harriman, they decide to add 1,000 homes. All that extra infrastructure is getting spread amongst 1,500 homes, not the 1,000 homes. And that's the way it was explained to me, number one, in the meeting, and number two, by the engineering firm who is conducting the long-range plan. The meetings they have are 2 times a month. The chairman of that committee is actually Peter Toohey, our legislator. So I think it's important, if you have questions, that you attend those meetings to maybe have your questions answered, number one, afterwards, or you can email. Sometimes they run out of time and there's another committee coming in, so that they don't have time to answer questions, but they have allowed community leaders to ask questions. But to educate yourself, I think it's a great meeting to attend.
And where is that?
That's at the county building in the, was it the statutory room, 3rd floor? Yeah, statutory room on the 3rd floor in the county. If you leave me your, I think I have your email, Lorraine, but Johnny, if you leave me your email, I'd be happy to let you know when the next meeting is.
I'll find out.
Okay. And Christine, PDR development rights, we have briefly looked into it. Unfortunately, I think about a month ago, Blooming Grove had theirs shut down. And I'll leave it at that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to speak to Ward and the cross connection. That actually came down from the County Board of Health, simply to protect a water district in case there's a homeowner who has a well who decides to hook into the public water system. They want to make sure there's no backflow. Same thing with irrigation systems, so there's no infiltration of contaminants into the main water system. Our attorney, Mr. Nugent, has spoken to the County Board of Health, and there will, now that we have this public hearing set, there will be the draft legislation up on the town website.
It doesn't. I know it doesn't. Rick?
No,
Sal?
I'm good.
One other comment, Johnny, you were talking about water. You know, I found it pretty ironic that the town of Monroe, and I'm just talking the town, we're called the Lake Region. We have all these lakes here. We have Monbassia Lake, which is controlled by the village, thank God, okay, but it's not the town. And then we have Walton Lake, which is in the town of Monroe, which is controlled by Chester. I think they have the top 2 or 4 inches that they're allowed to draw down on. Town has absolutely no control of any water supplies in the town that's called the Lake Region.
That's crazy.
So,
One comment. And for some time now, I've been on this board, and I think I raised the alarm bells about water usage years ago. I said it tonight, and I've said it over the past years, that water is a very expensive commodity, and it's a very necessary commodity, as we all know, but I've been talking about that as this area develops. Now, the problem is this area continues to develop, unlike Warwick. They don't have the Walmarts, they don't have the Woodbury Commons, they don't have the big box stores. Those big box stores open where there's a big population or where there's going to be a big projection of growth. We're in a whole different situation than they are because we're closer to the thruway and closer to all this development that's been going on. Fearful, hopefully they won't do that casino to add more woes to what we have already. So we haven't heard anything about that, have we?
No.
One way or the other. So hopefully it'll just remain a suggestion by whoever put that in and not develop any further.
anyone else? Council, we need to go into executive session to discuss litigation.
Oh, boy.
Yes, litigation.
Never ends.
That's it.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss litigation.
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. Jackson,
George, can you step up to the mic?
we going? Make a motion to come out of executive session back into our regular meeting.
Second, by Cologne.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. with the exception of, and I'll have council read the motion regarding National Development Council agreement. Council?
Oh, sorry, thought you had
Yeah.
something before that.
86.
So, this is a motion, I'll just ask one of the board members to adopt the motion. It will be a motion to authorize the town supervisor to execute an agreement between the town and the National Development Council with respect to the National Development Council's assistance to the town concerning the CCR zone developments.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
I will abstain.
Scangarello, aye.
Okay, so moved. If there's no further business, I will make a motion to adjourn the Monday, August 5th meeting.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I don't know, it's kind of early. I think we should stay around a little.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their summer. Kiddies, get ready to go back to school. It's coming soon.